In 1937, the Appalachian Trail was fully connected between Georgia and Maine. That means that the AT has been around for 85 years. And in those 85 years, over 20,000 people have thru-hiked the entire 2,200-ish miles. The trail has a long and storied history, and with that comes a lot of traditions. Today, I want to talk through 11 Appalachian Trail traditions that you should try while you're out there. Well, most of them you should try. A couple of them you should maybe avoid. At least in my opinion. Hey guys, I'm Audrey, known as Glow Stick on Trail. I thru-hiked the AT in 2018, and it was a magical, freaking magical experience. I absolutely loved every second of it. And if you have a thru-hike coming up, I just wanted to share these traditions with you and maybe give you some ideas on what you want to do out there to entertain yourself and be part of the history of the AT. Before we get started, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for more Appalachian Trail, hiking, backpacking, Colorado content. And just as an FYI, I will be through hiking the Colorado Trail this summer, which is about a 500-mile trail that goes from Denver to Durango. So if you're curious about that trail as well as the AT, then definitely make sure you subscribe. All right, y'all, let's get into these 11 AT traditions, some of which you might want to try. And by the way, some of these I partook in and some of these I did not. Number one, I did not partake in this one, but for a very good reason. Number one is the half-gallon challenge. Tradition holds that once you get to about the halfway point, when you're at Pine Grove Furnace State Park in Pennsylvania, you stop at the cafe and you buy yourself a half-gallon of ice cream and you eat it all in one sitting and you try to do it as fast as possible. They actually will take whoever is the winner for that year, they will give them a little, paper up on the wall that says, so-and-so finished the half-gallon challenge in X amount of time. So generally you want to finish in under 30 minutes, but it is a competition, so you want to eat that ice cream as fast as you can while staying sane. Do people keep their stomachs after they finish? Sometimes, and sometimes they do not. I did not participate because ice cream, unfortunately, while I think it is one of the most delicious foods in the entire world, makes me violently ill. And they didn't have any non-dairy options while I was there, so I had to skip the challenge. But I did watch some of my friends compete in the challenge, and my friend head chef actually was the winner for my year. He finished his half-gallon of ice cream in 12 minutes and some seconds. However, we also hiked a good chunk of the trail with a flip-flopper named Baby. And Baby, because he was a flip-flopper, he started the trail in Virginia, and so his halfway point was up in Maine. And so he just bought himself a half-gallon of ice cream and was like, I want to do the challenge now that I'm halfway through. I timed him, and he actually finished his half-gallon of ice cream in like 7 minutes. It was totally insane. But he had already been through the White Mountains of New Hampshire. And I will say that while my hiker hunger definitely ramped up at different points throughout the trail, it really, really ramped up in the White Mountains and after the White Mountains, because you're just putting on so much muscle, like doing so much hard work in the White Mountains. So I don't know if it was really fair to say that Baby would have won, because I think he had a leg up having already been through the Whites. But anyway, check out the half-gallon challenge at Pine Grove Furnace State Park if you are interested. You can win some glory and get a wooden spoon. Number two, trail days. So trail days happens in about mid-May every year in Damascus, Virginia. Lots of outdoor gear brands will come by and fix your gear for free. They'll do gear giveaways. A lot of the local community members, like local churches, will host thru-hiker breakfasts or meals where you can go get fed for free. There are different places you can go get a shower. You can meet like thru-hiker celebs. You camp out at Tent City. You party. It's a whole thing. So I went there with my trail family. I wouldn't say I was like the biggest fan of trail days. After living in the woods for a couple of months, it was a little overwhelming to be around that number of people. And it pretty much rained the entire weekend we were at trail days. We kind of wanted to leave early, but it was hard to do that. But a lot of people, a lot of former thru-hiker classes will come back to trail days. There is a thru-hiker parade that they do at trail days every single year where the classes will actually march in the parade together. So if you have thru-hiked in the past, you can go back and march with your classmates through the parade, through the city, which is a really fun tradition in my opinion. And you can actually get rides from these people. They're generally, like, a lot of people will come from out of state and they'll pick up thru-hikers along the way to bring them to trail days. So my trail family and I were actually like a 2-hour drive up the trail from Damascus. Like, we were already past Damascus by the point of trail days, but we really wanted to attend because it is just one of those trail traditions that you hear about all the time. And so we were able to get on a Facebook group, the AT Virginia Facebook group, and get a ride from a guy who was coming down from up north. He picked us up in Pearisburg and took us to the trail, and then we actually hitchhiked with another couple of former thru-hikers to get back to Pearisburg. People are in good spirits, they're generous. Like, the community and former thru-hikers are, and gear brands even, are like giving back to hikers. It's kind of a nice community event. I think it's just that it was overwhelming and tiring, and I think I walked so many miles around Damascus during trail days, and I drank a little too much, and when I got back on the trail, I immediately had this huge uphill climb out of Pearisburg, and I was regretting all my life decisions because it was not a very relaxing time off the trail. But I do think it's worth going at least once, and if you do go, march in the thru-hiker parade. But by the way, definitely learn from my mistakes. The gear companies that do these giveaways make you be in person to win their gear. My friend Head Chef and I, we both entered this big giveaway for like a whole new gear setup. We both won, and we both were not at the gear giveaway at the time, so we had to forfeit our wins. So don't be like us. Actually attend the giveaways that you sign up for. Number 3, trail names. So tradition holds that you will get a trail name bestowed onto you while you are thru-hiking the AT. So generally this is given to you by another hiker or maybe even a trail angel or something like that. You're not supposed to give yourself a trail name, but you are allowed to accept or deny a trail name. So don't go out there worried that you're gonna end up with some lame trail name that you hate, because you can turn down a trail name if you're not into it. But generally a name is given to you based on something silly that you've done or a character trait of yours that is very obvious or something like that. My trail name is Glowstick, and I was named Glowstick by my friend Ibex because the first night up on Springer Mountain, I opened up my tent and I found a bright yellow glowing glow stick in there, probably because the last time I had taken out my tent was several months earlier when I had gone to a beer and music festival, actually at Devil's Backbone, which is on the AT. Well, it's a few miles off the AT, but many hikers stop there on their way to try the beers and some free camping and whatever. But anyway, so I found that glow stick in my tent the first night on trail, and then I got off the trail for a wine festival and for a music festival. I went down to Bonnaroo in Tennessee with some DC friends while I was on the AT. So anyway, I got named Glowstick. Ibex was named because she was just charging up the mountains so much faster than anyone else at the beginning of the trail. And then my friend Head Chef, who I mentioned, was named because he was packing out like whole chickens and steaks out onto the trail, like being very fancy with his foods. And my friend Girl Scout was named that because she was always prepared. Anything anyone needed, she had it in her pack. So anyway, you get the idea. Trail names are super fun. And my trail friends still call me by my trail name. Number 4, get to McAfee Knob at sunrise. McAfee Knob is in Central Virginia. It is the most photographed place on the entire AT. It's super beautiful. It's like this, rocky like knob that goes out, it juts out from a cliff, and then beyond it is just these incredible views of the mountains beyond the Blue Ridge Mountains. And getting there at sunrise is just freaking incredible. It's so beautiful. It's so worth it. I'm not a morning person at all, but I got up at 4 a.m. to hike on up to McAfee Knob. I think there's a shelter/campsite that's about 2 miles south of McAfee Knob, so you can stay there the night before and then get up and just have about an hour of hiking to get up to the knob, and wow, is it incredible and worth it. So I would highly recommend that if any day on trail you decide to get up at 4 a.m., it is the day that you hike up to McAfee Knob. And by the way, there is debate within the community if it's pronounced McAfee or McAfee. I, for a long time, thought it was McAfee, but it turns out that my boss, McAfee Knob, was named after his grandfather, and his last name is McAfee. So that convinced me that it really is McAfee Knob. So in case you were wondering about the pronunciation, I'm pretty confident that it is, in fact, McAfee Knob. Number 5, this is one I cannot recommend and one I did not participate in, but it's totally up to you. This is jumping off the James River footbridge in Virginia. Let me first say, this is illegal. You're not supposed to do it. You can be fined, but again, I'm not gonna tell you not to do it. If you wanna do it, do it. But just know that you run the risk of being fined and it is illegal. And there are signs everywhere that says, right near the bridge, that it is illegal. But anyway, this is a long footbridge across the James River that you cross. And I did not participate. I actually did consider it, to be honest, but I did not participate because I thru-hiked to the AT in a very rainy year, historically rainy year. And when I was walking across that bridge, that river was high and it was flowing fast and it just did not seem safe. I have also heard, this might just be trail rumor, I don't know how true this is, but I've also heard that people have had their stuff stolen off the bridge by some mischievous locals as they jumped off the bridge and left their stuff behind. Again, I don't know if this is true or just trail rumor. I would believe it either way, but I would say, and also this can be dangerous. You know, jumping off a bridge into a river can be dangerous, and you don't know what's below the surface because it's a pretty muddy river. At least it was when I went through. But I did actually, though, jump off a different bridge on the AT, so I don't necessarily have a leg to stand on and tell you not to do it. I jumped off the White River Bridge between New Hampshire and Vermont. It was fun. It was scary, but I did it. I survived. But again, these things do come with inherent risk. So, you know, you don't want to be hurting yourself when you're out on the trail. You need your body in tip-top shape. So anyway, I'm just sharing the tradition. I'm not telling you to do it or not do it. Number 6, confess to the priest. You go up and over the priest a little ways south of the Shenandoah National Park. This is in Virginia. This is very near Devil's Backbone, actually, which I was just mentioning, the brewery that is not too far off the AT, and they let you camp there for free, and you can get a whole bunch of beers. It's delicious. But anyway, this is not about Devil's Backbone. This is about the priest. So you go up and over the priest, and there is a shelter there, the priest shelter, and at the priest shelter, there is a logbook. And in the logbook, it is tradition that you sign in and you confess your trail sins to the priest. So you will say something bad that you have done while you're on the trail or something that you're not supposed to do. So I confessed while I was out there that I skipped 11 miles of the trail when I was very sick with a stomach bug, throwing up in my tent all night. I didn't want to fall behind my tramily because I was feeling very weak, and I thought, if I'm 11 miles behind them, how am I going to catch up, because I'm just not feeling well at all. So I confessed that to the priest. I did go back and finish those miles once I got to Katahdin. A couple weeks later, I went back down south and finished those 11 miles. So you can't accuse me of being a cheater, but that was my confession to the priest. But other people, they have other confessions. You'll see when you get there, and you should confess your sins as well. Number 7, stop at the Appalachian Trail Conservancy headquarters in Harpers Ferry, West Virginia, and get your Polaroid picture taken. So if you start in the normal time, which is like between mid-March and mid-April, if you start at Amicalola Falls State Park in Georgia, you can get a hang tag for your pack that'll give you a number, which is like your thru hiker number for starting the trail. This is like your number 1054 starting the AT northbound this year. So when you get to Harpers Ferry, you go to the ATC headquarters and you get your photo taken, and they give you a new number of like your number whatever to come through Harpers Ferry this year. So it's kind of fun. You can kind of see like how the numbers have shifted as you've gone. A lot of people will have a lower number when they get to Harpers Ferry because, you know, people drop off by that point. But maybe if you're really slow, you get a higher number, who knows? And then they put your Polaroid into their thru-hiker book for the year. You can also, I don't know if this is still, or accurate during COVID. I don't know if things have changed there, but at least when I went through, they had a thru-hiker lounge in the back and you could go hang out there, and it was nice and cool and air conditioned, which Harper's Ferry in the summer is very hot and humid, so it's a nice reprieve. And when I was there, they had a lot of cold drinks that you could buy, all for like $1. I literally think I sat there and drank like 3 cold lemonades. It was amazing. So I definitely recommend that you stop there. It's a nice experience. And it was really cool too, because they had like a 3D map of the whole trail, and you could see the elevation and whatnot for the entire trail. And I mentioned this a lot, but I thought the South was really hard, Georgia, North Carolina, Tennessee, even though people just always talk about New Hampshire and Maine being tough. And so that gave me a visualization of what those mountains down south looked like. And I was like, yeah, those look really hard on this map. So it was nice. I felt justified. Number 8, Hike Naked Day. This is on June 21st, the first day of summer. And it is tradition for hikers to hike buck naked, except for their packs and their shoes and their socks, on Hike Naked Day. I also did not participate in this one. I knew many people who did, but I had just hiked out of a town, I think that morning, and I was passing a lot of like Boy Scout and Girl Scout troops, so I did not feel comfortable taking off my clothes and hiking around. I also think that backpacking naked sounds really uncomfortable, but that's just me. But perhaps if you're in a more wildernessy section of the trail on a weekday, you haven't been seeing many people, you're not worried about running into Boy Scouts, this might be something that you want to participate in. Okay, these last 3 are all a little bit similar, but different too. Number 9, the 24-24-24 challenge. This is also not one that I did, nor one that I would recommend, but some people enjoy it. So this means that you hike 24 miles and you drink 24 beers, all in the span of 24 hours. I don't personally know anyone who completed this challenge, at least not that I know of or can think of, but I did pass a couple of youngsters. I'd put them around probably like 2021, who I did pass on the trail, who were doing this challenge, and they did not look super with it. I know, this challenge is silly. Maybe you want to try it. I have no business drinking 24 beers in 24 hours ever, no matter what I'm doing. And definitely not while I'm trying to stay upright on a trail. So you want to do it? More power to you. This is not something that I participated in or probably ever will participate in. Number 10, the 4-state challenge. So with this tradition, you have 24 hours to hike from Virginia to West Virginia to Maryland to Pennsylvania. So you're supposed to touch all 4 states within 24 hours. So I looked back at my AWOL book to see how many miles that was, and it looks like it's around 43 miles from when you leave Virginia, which at that time was around mile 1022, and then you hike up to get to Pennsylvania, you hike up to mile about 1065. The trail does shift by a few miles each year. It's rerouted around things, so these miles may not be exactly the same now, but I'm sure it's still around 40 miles. So basically, you're gonna hike 40 miles within 24 hours. I didn't do this because, first of all, that sounds very hard and tiring. And second of all, I really wanted to stop in Harper's Ferry and go get my picture, and like, my family and I went river tubing there and just had a chill time. It was nice. So I did not want to skip over Harper's Ferry, which you would have to do this challenge. And I'll also say that Maryland is just like a very easy, nice state to hike through. It's very hot and humid, but the trail is fairly easy. And so it's just kind of a nice reprieve from like the ups and downs that you've kind of been through. So I guess that would make it a good time to push yourself if you're looking to push yourself. But if you're kind of looking to take a little break and take it easy, like maybe you don't want to rush through all these states. But again, it's up to you. It could be something that you find fun or whatever. And number 11, last but not least, again, this is very similar, but this is the 24-hour challenge. And you basically just challenge yourself to see how many miles you can possibly hike in 24 hours. You wanna hike as many miles as you can in that 24-hour period. So does this mean you are sleeping during the 24 hours or not? Well, it's totally up to you. You could stop and take a nap, or you could stop and sleep for a few hours if you really feel like you need to, or you could just keep on charging for that 24 hours completely. But if you do, make sure you have enough food, because you're probably gonna get real hungry pushing yourself like that. And also make sure you have enough food to give yourself a rest day afterwards, because you're probably gonna be real tired. My friend head chef on the AT wanted to challenge himself and do a 50-mile day, and he was exhausted at the end of that 50-mile day. So he ended up taking 2 zeros after that just to get his body to recover so he could go back and hike again. And he's a real strong, real fit guy. So just be prepared. If you're gonna do the 24-hour challenge, that you're probably gonna be pretty sore, tired afterwards, and probably pretty hungry. Will I ever do a 24-hour challenge? Possibly. I could see maybe on the PCT giving it a shot. I'm kind of curious. My longest day on the AT was 30 miles, but I've heard the PCT, the terrain is easier, and I feel like in my second thru hike, I will want to push myself a little more and give myself some sort of goal, or some sort of challenge. So I could definitely see doing this one in the future. All right, you guys, if you have hiked the AT, whether you have thru-hiked it, whether you've section hiked it, and you can think of any AT traditions that I have forgotten, drop those in the comments. And if you have an AT thru-hike or section hike ahead, and there are some of these traditions that you are dying to try, let me know that too. I want to know which ones you're planning on, or which ones you want to challenge yourself with, or whatever. So let me know in the comments. As always, thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you all next time. Happy trails!